Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining. I don't know where you're joining from, but I want to welcome you. Oh, I see a familiar face here. Being Nessing, welcome. I see you in the chat. Okay, we routed the live stream this evening to my YouTube. But because of that, I will just do commentary. This is just talk radio type of live stream this evening. I won't be playing any music from 1991, unfortunately, for this evening. I hope you don't mind. I will have music set up for next time. So just I'll keep you posted on that. But I this evening just won't do it. Okay, we'll just talk through the episode. So we are up to in this. This is a retrospective that we've been rewinding 60 years of culture. And we are now at episode 27 in this retrospective. Episode 27, and the year is star date 1991. And I've entitled this The Birth of the Citizen Journalist. If you remember the technological advancement of the portable video camera, the camcorder as it was known, it gave the power to the people to capture events in real time. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we go into the rewind of 1991. So again, I want to thank you for joining, and I will see you in the chat. So this will be really fun, okay, to have it streaming to the YouTube. Okay, so the chatmosphere, as you are coming in, I just want to say welcome. I see you, Dharma. Hello from Colorado, beautiful Colorado. Welcome. So I hope you enjoy it. I want us to take a look at some imagery, okay? Imagery from 1991. I am able to now look at the timeline a lot differently. Oh, I see Beth. Hey, Beth, welcome. Beth, I have we routed the live stream to my YouTube channel. So I'm glad you are joining. The only thing this evening, we won't have a listening room, okay? I will do it for the next one, but I just didn't work out the little details of that. So we'll just do talk radio, talk gramophone to this evening, okay? So again, if you're just joining, this is episode 27. The year is 1991. And this is Birth of the Citizen Journalist. Okay, so let's look at our entry here. I put together just some of the characters on the stage, on the world stage. And let's see if you can take yourself back in time. We are rewinding. Let's see. Beth, you're saying that's great. Yeah, I'm pretty much Facebook and YouTube, and that's about it for me. A bit of Rumble as well. Yeah, I understand. I get it. It's been a little bit of a topsy-turvy. I don't know how else to describe it. This whole social media and how to navigate it. I've been trying to navigate it. If I could find the perfect balance of everything, because I want to play music, okay? I want to be able to play music. And of course, I love the artistry. I have respect and, reverence for the music. And I want to be able to play it and talk about it from a cultural commentary standpoint. And I just haven't been able to find the perfect balance of where can I do that without getting in trouble, because it seems that other people can do things, but whenever I do it, I'm not trying to sound like a brat, but I mean, people are playing music here on YouTube, right? They have channels that they play the music. They, record it from their own whatever stash and play it in videos. I just don't see how I can do it just yet. So we've been doing it over on Roku, and it's been a lot of fun because I want to not just listen to the music, but look at the If I can get a live performance, that is always great. But also the videos, when the videos became big in the 80s and it's like a mini movie. So I wanted to be able to play the music and just have a discussion from a cultural standpoint. So maybe TikTok. I don't know. I'm still looking into it. But anyway, not to belabor this. Hello, Being Nessing. You're saying hello to everyone. I'm thanking the Chatmosphere. Oh, we have Karen. Karen Scott of the Scots is here, of course. Our beautiful Harlem Sentinel. She'll be making sure that we are all well here and no trolls are taking up too much time, right? Okay, so let's get into 1991, birth of the citizen journalist. And as you can see, you probably remember everything about this year so far from this thumbnail picture. You can recognize a lot about the cultural touch points of 1991. Okay, so let's look at the next slide. Okay, so 1991, here we go. We're at war. And I know a lot of us are war fatigued, and I was so into the narrative. Were you back then? I was listening to CNN, watching CNN constantly. It was looping 24 hours. I mean, think about the fact that we went from having television on 3 networks mainly and maybe other networks, but we pretty much had a window of time that we gave to the news. And usually it was local news. We had some evening news, but it wasn't 24 hours of looping around of trauma porn, because that's what CNN became, a leader of trauma porn to me. And a lot of the people that report at CNN, the rumors are that they get them straight out of the farm, the farm, the CIA farm. So we've heard that, and it's just no surprises. Of course, you don't even need a tinfoil hat to really believe it. So it is one of those things that once we look back at it now, when I look at these pictures, I feel like, wow, they got me. The whole like you're on candid camera. Like, this was such a psyop, and it's so ridiculous. I'm sorry to any veterans. I don't have any ill will towards our veterans. I respect them. When I see them in public, I will thank them for their service, because they truly were serving us. A lot of them went into these wars believing the narratives. Of course, they had to believe it. All of us had to believe it. And they were being programmed even more than us civilians. So they were going into these theaters of war, and they were truly believing the narratives. And when you talk to a lot of the veterans, especially now that all of us have had an opportunity to really look at things from a, retrospective, and you really feel duped. You feel like you've been played. We've all been played. That's the thing. But I feel bad for those that have lost their lives or limbs and their mental health over these wars. These wars have been absolutely unnecessary. Hello, Michelle. Somebody's saying hello to Michelle. If Michelle is in the Chatmosphere, I want to say welcome. If you are new to the Chatmosphere, I want to say thank you for joining. If you're watching on a restream, I hope you enjoy the restream. And I just want to thank you. So, yeah, and I'll see your messages, because now I can see you in the chat. Okay. Hey, Ewen's first. If I don't say it right, please forgive me. WH Decorations for Christmas, Q Dominoes, and Blue Monarch Butterfly. Oh, this looks like a coded message. Oh, interesting. Something's happening. Good evening, Jen. It's somewhere in time. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining. So, if you're here and you have messages that need to be decoded, help me. This is a chatmosphere after all. We are a classroom. I do not have all the answers. I like to lean on you all so we can reason together. And if I get anything wrong, I always invite you to correct me. If you can correct me in real time, please do. If you can correct me in the comment section, please do. I just respond best if you don't call me a dummy or any other kind of name, okay? And then I'm cool, okay? It just depends on how you do it. Okay, so again, we are going back to this war theater over in the Gulf. And this was the Gulf War, and they like to give it all these terms like Desert Storm, and remember Operation this, and what were some of the names? Operation Desert Shield, and remember that turned into Operation Desert Storm, and then it's all these names because again, I was drinking the Kool-Aid, and I watched CNN back then. In 1991, it was just looping constantly. Probably since CNN really started, I was a avid watcher. And yeah, so I'm listening to all of this Operation this and and then looking at all of our young men in these theaters and all of the technology that we use to go into these wars. Just bear with me. I'm still here, everybody. But we go through a lot to fight for what? I mean, didn't you always hear the person that was considered the conspiracy nut, and they were always saying, oh, they're only over there fighting for oil. This is all, it's a rich man's war for oil. And I used to think those people were just, I didn't really know what to think about that oil. I didn't understand why were we doing that when I knew all along we had oil here. I don't know. We talked about that at one time. We were going to do the Alaskan oil pipe and all of these things. And some of us have heard about stories about oil areas in the United States, Oklahoma. I mean, we grew up watching the Beverly Hillbillies. They hit the black gold, right? So we knew that there was black gold in them hills here in America and all through. So we don't have to get oil from foreign countries, but we know now, of course, I was not aware of the play. Now it makes a lot of sense. This is a banking war. These are corporate cartels, the military industrial complex. These are guys that just at the top 1%, they're just playing with our lives for what? For sport, for power, for some sick, perverted, ancient, you know what I'm saying? This is biblical, but it has at a point, it has reached its climax and conclusion in terms of they will not be able to get the people to agree to a war. I don't know. What do they have left? I don't know. They can't convince us that it's a good idea to keep these wars going. Endless wars. And imagine all the technology that the military industrial complex has that they are suppressing from the civilians that could be used for good. And you know, in the Bible, when it says they will take their weapons and they will take them and turn them into pruning shears, into plows, into, I mean, I think the language doesn't mean literally we'll have like primitive agriculture. In other words, I think it means that we'll take the energy and the money and effort into fighting wars and put it into, how about clean food? How about food that literally makes you live an abundant life from a health standpoint, where we can close down hospitals? Doctors will have to go find other things to do because you'll have a healthy population. Can you imagine that? I'm just saying, like, that's really what is normal. What we're doing now is not normal. And I know I don't have to convince any of you of that. And if you're, let's see, some of the comments. Yes, somebody said JP Morgan. Yes. Hello, Yvette Shines Bright. Welcome. What happened to the brother from 2020? A patient? Oh, tell me what you mean, Yvette. Which brother from 2020? A patient? Remind me. And welcome. Okay, so we have the Gulf War and we have smart bombs. Why do we need smart bombs? But we have all of this, like I said, technology. And we are told that this is patriotic. Go out and buy not French fries. What did they call them? Freedom fries. Remember they pulled that stunt on us? And go and shop. Go out to, what did Bush tell us? Go and shop because you'll show your patriotism if you get out there and shop. And it was just such a mental weirdness. But it's all performative. And all of this war coverage that CNN was doing 24/7, they were getting the most ratings that I'm sure they've ever gotten with this type of stuff. Let's see. RFK Jr. is a Trojan wanting everyone in 4 years wearing wearables, track trace tech to go with the towers put up during lockdown from 2019. Trump EO. Oh. Okay, so I see that, yeah, if you're sharing some of the things you want to catch us up on, I may not be in the loop at the moment to really address it. That right there, I'm not really sure how to address it, but it sounds interesting. Wearables, tracking, I don't know right now, but thank you for commenting. I'll try to figure some stuff out, but help me understand what's going on. Okay, you said because they're sadistic and evil. Absolutely. Yep. Let's look at the next slide, please. Smart bomb is an oxymoron. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Karen. This is where you can find, if you want to support the show and look at us on Roku and, listen to unedited music. We'll have a listening room. That's where you can support right there. Okay, so we got to see war correspondents become celebrities of sorts. So if you remember Christiane Amanpour, if I'm not saying her name correctly, please forgive. Oh my goodness, I see one of our look, IG roller disco 17. What's up, Hermana? Welcome and thanks for joining. Oh my goodness, it's so nice to see you all here. All right, so we had Christiane Amanpour, and remember, what's the dude's name? Oh boy, I'm not remembering. I had their names written down, but Amanpour, Wolf Blitzer, the other guy, let's see. I had their names written down. Does anybody know everybody? It's yes, that's a young wolf blitzer. Who knows who everybody is? The black guy, what's his name? Not black, he's melanated. He is I'm trying to say the things right. It's gonna take me a while to stop saying black all the time. But yes, that's a young wolf blitzer. I used to love Wolf Blitzer. I love the name. It went with the whole war theater, didn't it? It was a perfect name. I'm not sure if that's his real name, but that's the name that he told us. But yeah, mouthpieces, exactly. But this is they were the cat's meow during the war. And they were considered to be trusted sources, right? Very trusted sources. And wait, I do want to get the names. Just bear with me, everyone. I'll get the names. I had it here, but you know how you write notes. Blitz. Oh, somebody said, well, we all know Wolf Blitzer, right? Wolf Blitzer. Let me see. War reporters. Gulf War. Let's see. Anybody else remember anybody besides Wolf Blitzer, Christian Amanpour? Anybody else? Let's see. What are they going to tell me? They're telling us that they risked their lives for the Peter Arnett. Yes. Okay. Peter Arnett. And so we have Christian Amanpour, Peter Arnett, Wolf Blitzer, and anybody else? Who else? Nobody in the chat knows all of these guys? Actors 1 through 6, exactly. Bernard Shaw is the melanated man, and we just have one more to go. So who is the next guy? Peter Arnett, John Simpson, Mike Sullivan, Ben Brown, Christian. I guess that would be one of those names. Okay, so we have now these super reporters giving us trusted war information. It was like pay-per-view for a conflict. Brian something. Oh, really? One is named Brian? Okay. If you think of it, put it in there. Okay, so next slide. Let's see. So here's some of the technology that was they were showing us some of the technology. Of course, we know they have very advanced technology, but this is some of the smart technology, the night vision abilities. And I believe they had vision where they could look through houses, right? Remember, really thick. If you have cinder blocks, they can look through the house, through the blocks into a house, right? So very advanced warfare. When I think about war, and as I was saying, to take the weapons of war and to flip it and use all of this technology for making the world a good place, not war, but improving everything that makes life vibrant, makes life worthwhile, meaningful, and to improve our air, our water, our food would be amazing. And I'm just thinking off, just a basic stuff. If we could take the war effort and turn it into that, I'm just thinking, wow. And other things, we would be able to take care of so many other things instead of war. Everybody can prosper, all the nations, right? Or am I just talking like how the Miss America, when I want to feed the world and I want it to be peaceful, and those answers, we laugh at it, but it's really not funny. Wouldn't we all want a peaceful world, and for everybody to be able to eat and have abundance and have beautiful places that they dwell? So, yeah, we may sound like airheads to some people, but I think that should be basic rights for humans. Even animals should live well. So, yeah, next slide. Okay, so 1991, let's kick off the psyops. Okay, are you ready? Yeah, so we remember, for those that were around, and this is where the technology in our hand now, we have mobile cameras. We can record events in real time. And what happened with this case of police brutality that happened in 1991, we have war breaking out over in the Gulf, and then we have war breaking out here at home. So all of the racial, it was just a big mountain of racial tension just coming to a head. And this Rodney King case, remember Rodney King? He was beaten by LAPD officers, and a citizen was able to capture it on a camcorder. And CNN used the footage from a civilian, from a citizen. Can you imagine? Like, think about the mind twisting of that. So now you can see how we have the power of the cell phone, where everybody is a journalist at this point. Everybody. Nothing is out of our range in terms of capturing on our devices. So with the camcorder, even though it was bulky, it was like being a correspondent for CNN. And I actually went to Cuba and had a big camcorder. My dad had all kind. He was really a camera person, and on vacations he just captured so much. And he let me borrow the camcorder, and all of the people, whenever I was out filming, and I got in trouble filming grocery store shelves that were emptied, and then they would ask me to stop, and all of the people were starting to call me CNN, and I started getting nervous because they would point at me and say CNN, CNN, and they knew that over in Havana. Okay, so yeah, the reach for our media is pretty crazy. So yeah, they captured this police beating. Police, how many police officers? 4. So 4 police officers beating one man and beating him to a bloody pulp. And you can see all the graphic details, and he became a hero for racial, I guess, unity after this racialized attack by the LAPD. So we know the LAPD is very corrupt. Everybody knows that, okay? And so this is a case of deep corruption. And I don't know anymore, when I think back on these things, I believe that these things are not organic. I believe they foment a lot of this, and they use it for the agenda of racial division. And yes, Bian Nessing, he became known for a meme that, of course, we can all say it in unison. Can we all just get along? Huh? Can we all just get along? So he was known for that. And yeah, I don't know. Can we? Can we all just get along? He has gone on to the upper room, Rodney King. Oh my goodness, the band is really getting back together. We have John. John is here. John, welcome. How are you? Thank you for joining. That is awesome, John. Yay. I'll get to see you in the chat, okay? Especially afterwards, okay? I will look for your comments, okay? All right. So there's John. Howdy. How's it going over in the Midwest? The Midwest parts. I hope it's not too cold. It's cold in the South here, you all, a little bit, but not too bad. I can't complain. Okay, so yeah, this is the Rodney King incident that tipped off a whole race riot, and it was just crazy. John is saying that it's cold and snowy. Oh, wow. Well, I hope you stayed toasty and warm, John. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Let's see, what do we have after this incitement and this flashpoint of racial somewhat divide? I think that most people were on the side of Rodney King. It didn't matter race or what. They didn't agree with how he was beaten. It was way too much force. Okay, so we now have in 1991, if you remember, because I'm rewinding culture. So I'm trying to look at where did all this stuff happen. When we look at a generation, because I'm looking back and tying it into biblical history and all kinds of, like, we're trying to correct our timeline. A lot of us, we woke up to the mud flood and the short season eschatology, if you want to say, and a lot of us, we listen to the same content creators when it comes to those subjects, and I enjoy listening and reasoning. I'm still new to it, but I find it to be fascinating because nothing ever made sense, and they are helping to make sense of a lot. So I appreciate those scholars. Oh my, Tina's here, the truth seeker. Yay. Good evening to all. She said, good evening, Tina, Sister Tina. And thank you for joining. We are doing, Tina, just to bring, and John and whoever else, if you've just joined, we decided to route the live stream that we've been doing over on Roku over to my YouTube, but we're not having a listening room this evening. Okay, just for this evening. I'll keep you posted. And that's when I like to listen to music and do the rewind of culture and just add it into the whole thing. Okay, so this evening, if you don't mind, we're just doing commentary, talk radio. Okay, but thank you so much. All right, so back to this cultural film, cinema, the things that you think of, the mind control, of course, out of Hollywood. So we have a movie entitled New Jack City, and we were starting to see the urban culture take a turn from, we were seeing it in the 80s because we had the rise of rap culture, hip hop, and we were getting into something different. They were calling it New Jack Swing, R&B, soul, different different things. I don't think neo soul came quite yet in 1991, but New Jack City was a really big movie in 1991. We have Wesley Snipes, who played the main character, and very famously played this very well. But it highlighted the drug, of course, the drug game and the streets. Okay, the streets were really hopping back then. Because if you haven't noticed, the streets are dead right now. We have gone a generation. That's why I mentioned the biblical history. When you think about a generation of time, we have watched more than a generation because I'm doing a 60-year rewind. So we're really late in terms of looking at various 40 years, they say, is a generation, and just to look at 40-year increments and what has happened. But since the 60s until like now, it's pretty evident what happened in each decade. And by me doing each year, it's amazing to put things together and to really look at what we're dealing with now. It's enhancing my understanding. So I hope it does for you too. And if you have anything to share and add to the conversation, I'm even going to start taking some calls. Okay. So I'll keep you posted on that, where you can call and we can chat. Okay. If I can stop chatting, we'll have some time. Okay. All right. So New Jack City, if you can look at the technology, look at the phone that he's on, Nino Brown. That was, I think, what was that his name? Nino Brown. So he's on that big phone from 1991. They called it a brick. So he's on the brick. He's in the Jeep. He's got his whole enterprise. He's terrorizing the whole community. And that was pretty much what happened. And it was based on nothing but the truth. When I think of New Jack City, though, we're talking underground city, Gotham City, darkness, warlords, the whole gangs, the gangs of New York, and everybody is fighting for power. And so in Harlem, of course, our beautiful Harlem Sentinel, she can tell you about this history. She lived it. She could write her own book. So she knows a lot about these years. Tina says, I remember those big phones. You were big time. Yeah. If you had one. I had a bag phone I was in pharmaceutical sales, not this kind of pharmaceutical sales. I was in the other kind of pharmaceutical sales, and I had to have a big bag phone. It was so goofy, but yeah, I do remember how weird it was. But yeah, you did feel big time to have your phone. It was resting right in the middle of, remember the little middle area of the car, you could set it on. Oh boy, I'm dating myself. I don't care. But yeah, anyway, I was talking about a generation and how I'm, rewinding. Oh, and New Jack City being an underground darkness of a city. I was thinking, because lately I've been thinking about the rest of Revelation, the good part, the utopia, the things that are promised to the children of the Most High Yah, the things that we have to look forward to, right? The New Jerusalem. So I think about New Jerusalem City. Wouldn't that be amazing? New Jerusalem City. To start imagining that as a real place and starting to anticipate and expect it. I think it's just something to it. Oh, wow, 420 Wall Dragon. Welcome. So glad you are here with us. Had to check your beeper. Exactly. All of these guys had their beepers, okay? Because if you had beeper service, hey there, welcome from Canada Stan. I hope it's not too cold up there. I know it has the propensity to get pretty cold. But anyway, back to the New Jack City and just thinking about New Jerusalem City and the opposite of this type of bloody corruption, just everything bad, the world of anything that's anti-God, and just to have the opposite, to live in conditions where you know that the king is in control. You see real evidence. You know what I'm saying? It's just amazing. All right, so we have New Jack City, and this principal character, you could say, is an archetype for everything that we heard. All of the famous drug lords or gangsters. We went through some of them, like the blaxploitation films that they played a lot, and they had the Superfly, and then we had Karen, what are some of those? I forgot. We talked about some of those big gangsters out of Harlem. The one that had the fur coat on at the Mike Tyson fight, and that's when he brought too much attention to himself. What was his name again? Karen. I'm going to wait for Karen to tell me those. And then it was the guy that they said Puffy's dad may have had some connection to that Harlem gangster world. So wait, Karen, let me know. I forget right now. I'm not up on my gangsters. Hollywood's precursor to the Diddy CIA honeypot. Exactly. All Frank Lucas. There it is. Okay, Frank Lucas was one. So what I'm saying, thank you, Karen. What was the other guy? Frank Lucas was the one that he was at a boxing match, and he was in a fur coat, just flashy, and he was, close up to the front, and they were wondering, who is he? Well, that's when the Fed started to, look into him. I mean, he was eventually going to get caught, but he could have maybe had a little longer of a time. Look at that. Beth knows some of the gangsters. That's right, Beth. Come through. Bumpy Johnson. You better know your gangsters, Beth. There you go, Bumpy Johnson. And it was another one. Is that the guy that supposedly had a connection to Diddy? Or is that Frank Lucas? I get them all confused. Okay, anyway, New Jack City, everybody. We are dealing with an archetype of a just ruthless gang king. And yeah. What a story of the streets. But again, the streets are dead. We have had many. Nicky Barnes. There you go. That's another one. Nicky Barnes. That we got them all. Did we get them? The Harlem? Okay, there you are. If you needed to know. But this is an archetype. And so let's go to the next slide. We've spent too much time on New Jack City. Sorry. Now we are at, isn't that something? Are you starting to see, do you need to put your tinfoil hat on to see how we were being programmed? Not you so much, but we were being programmed. It started to trickle down, if I could borrow that from President Reagan. It trickled down or trickled up, trickled out to other cultures, the macro from, they say we're the micro culture, the minority culture. But do you see boys in the hood? So we go from one extreme of, let's see, we had the East Coast. Now we're going the West Coast. So boys in the hood. So this was a movie that portrayed the life of, the hood. So this is the hood. And it had, of course, unfortunate outcome for the good boy, the good guy going to college, of course, trying to make it out of the hood type of, it's always that type of story, right? So he's trying to make it out of the hood. And of course, people get jealous about that. He's the goody two shoe. He's the quarter zip. He wants to dress up like a preppy boy, and it's a quarter zip movement, and you're going to make people mad because they don't want you to partake in what they call respectability politics. So why are you trying to drink matcha and wear more conservative clothing? Why are you not doing what you were just doing? It happened pretty quickly, didn't it? There is a movement afoot. It is called the quarter zip, if you haven't heard. So yeah, you have these dynamics of the hood going on. And it was a tragic ending for the good guy. The guy that had all the promise, he didn't make it out of the hood. Now, the guy that is brandishing the pow pow in the red car, I read that he really did unalived. I have to use those. I'm on YouTube now. I have to use unalived and pow pows. I have to remember. Okay, so they say he really did unalive some people. So art imitating life, life imitating art. What is going on here? Beth is saying, see how they noticed the black and white got together during the hippie generation, so they had to divide us in the 80s. Yeah, don't you see the play afoot? I mean, it's so obvious at this point. If we just got together and did things like this, we started to look at it together, it's pretty obvious. And Beth knows, yes, the CIA shipped the drugs. They told the rappers to create divisive lyrics. You got it. Destroying America by division. There you are. And it has been said by people in the industry, we'll call it the music industry, that they were instructed to create lyrics that would increase the prison pipeline, to get it going real good. So these lyrics of rebellion and anger and citing just hatred through the beats, the frequency, these people are wizards of sound, okay? They are sonic wizards. They study this stuff, okay? They have handlers and people that give them instruction. A lot of these rap groups, they hung around people like, what's that guy's name? He's like got the big beard. He's got a beard. What is his name? He started out with Russell Simmons, and oh, you know what I'm talking about. He's into the occult. He teaches occult magic. He's a wizard. What's that dude's name? Yeah, I don't want to keep saying it, okay, myself. I don't want to. If you're in here, the boys are in here, the girls and the boys from the farm. Rhonda, Neely, welcome. They have been at war with the American people for years. Absolutely. They sure have. So they have encouraged these lyrics, and it increased the private prison system. So we go from the war industrial system, which makes a lot of money. Then they are fighting over in these theaters of war that have the poppy plants in Afghanistan, all through Central and South America with the cocaína and the marijuanas, and then you wherever else that you can get some stuffs. Okay, so they fly it in. Their people fly it in, and then they flood the cities of New York, LA, Chicago, Philly, Atlanta, Miami. You get in a boat and you can bring it over there. But they have flooded these cities. We've had people in our government admit to these things. Remember the woman out of LA, and she was saying that they were flooding Los Angeles with drugs, with pow-pows, with everything. Just like always, yes. And then what happened, I remember in Philadelphia, our hoods, our neighborhoods were places of high order, we had a code of conduct. Our men were present. Children were safe. Women and children were safe. And we helped each other. We looked out for each other. We had a real community in West Philadelphia. And then the 80s happened, and you have the crack cocaine operation, I'll call it now, flooding the streets. And then not long after that, we have the HIV AIDS crisis. And it's pretty obvious what has been going on and what has continued to go on. By the way, HIV AIDS is on the rise in a crazy way in certain hot spots. I know I'm talking to the choir. In cities like Houston, they're having an epidemic of AIDS, HIV. And you have people that, yeah, they put their tinfoil hat on and say, well, I wonder what was in that thing that they were making people get back in 2020. Maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe we're not so crazy to put connections there. Because there have been people that said that they have fragments of that virus in that thing. Because it doesn't make sense that this thing is on the rise like it is. What is really going on? But as long as they can keep us divided, we can't look at really what they're doing. So I'm glad that a lot of us are not on that division stuff anymore. We have repented of it so we can look at our real enemy. So next slide. I'm sorry, I got a little heated. Let me get a little water. Calm down, Jen. Okay, so 1991 is when Diddy, let's see what Beth is saying. Thank you, Anthony Fauci. There you are. He created the HIV crisis in the 80s. Now they call it the VAIDS. Oh, vaccine-induced AIDS kills the immune system. There you are. So this is being discussed. If you're on X, this is openly being discussed. It's not being suppressed. So you can listen to lots or watch in all kinds of media on X and just look at what people are saying in real time about the HIV crisis going on right now in our cities. Yeah, he's an evil mofo. And no, I won't ask that question because I know what a lot of you are going to say. I was going to say, and what has happened to him? Don't answer it. I know what's happened to him. Okay. We won't have to. I know. Okay. Going on. I don't want to take the conversation in that direction right now. So I don't want to get off track. Okay. So back to 1991, we have Diddy. We have Sean Combs. He is Puffy back then. Wasn't he Puff Daddy? He was starting to craft his image. And he had an event in 1991, a basketball game. And this was really very well marketed. He is a marketing genius, so he can get the crowds to come. Parties, events like this. So they had a really big turnout at this basketball game. And it turned into, now I watched 50s documentary. I watched the first part, The Reckoning, today. It was released today. If you don't know about that, if you're interested in watching the Diddy documentary that Curtis, 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, otherwise known as 50 Cent. He was a former rapper. He is now a business mogul, but he did a documentary that was, I just looked at the first part and it was unbelievable. So I took some notes, but I want to talk about something I picked up about this incident in 1991 with Diddy or Puffy. Bum rush. There's a term called bum rush. Bum rush the door. And I remember hearing that bum rush. That was just a term. You hear that in Philly, like growing up. Some of the kids might say bum rush it, and that means like you're going to just like go with force and just force your way through a door. And it's a military type of maneuver. You think of a battle ram. You become like the crowd becomes the battle ram into a door to force your way inside. So bum rush is something that is used and people understand it. So I think that was the term that was used, I guess, to incite maybe the crowd. I'm not sure. But that was something I took a note of today, bum rush. So it was a stampede that caused a crush. It was chaos, basically. And how this was described in the documentary is that this tragedy in 1991, where people were unalived because of a bum rushing, and the crowd begins to crush in, and just, chaos ensued. And that happens in crowds, especially if you don't have good crowd control. I don't know the details of it. It was so unfortunate to see the graphic nature of this event, because some people may play it down and not think it was a real tragedy, but it really was. It was really very tragic. Young people just dead. Body bags, they were starting to just put people, they say 7, but Karen said, right, it was like more, wasn't it? But we never know the number. They'll say a number, but it doesn't mean that it was the final count, maybe. But this was just very sad. Young people dying like that. They were coming to an event, a charity game. So how this was described is that this was the birth of Puffy, okay? He turned this tragedy into his ascension. And you could take what you will of that. But as I can just understand this from a spiritual standpoint, for this to be the birth of Puffy, you remember it, Rhonda? Yeah. For this event to spark the ascension and the birth of him as what he was going to become, his goal, his dream. He was really on his way right now. And this event must have harnessed the energy, because, okay, as they say, there's no bad press. And Puffy is a media mogul. And a lot of times that gets missed, that he is a media mogul, meaning he can manipulate the media in such a way. He can craft an image and control very tightly an image. And he's been able to do that for all of these years, almost a generation in time. And when this happened, his name was known. This news went far and wide, but what it did was it elevated him, because at the way that he could craft the narrative is that he's a victim. This happened to him, you see? And people probably showed him a lot of sympathy, of course, he's going to feel bad about this. But what I'm saying is this event, this tragedy was what catapulted him. So that is something to really take note of. It didn't really make sense until I watched the first part of the documentary, just to hear those things. And it just dawned on me. Wow. So for that to be considered the birth of this mogul. And then you can see his mother in the picture here with Clive Davis. So now he is starting to be in circles of power, invited into rooms with elite players like Clive Davis, who never gets named, by the way. Clive Davis, he remains unscathed by a lot of these scandals. But another thing about Clive Davis that I have to say is that Clive Davis has been very open about his sexuality. He came out of the closet years ago. He wrote a book. I mean, he cops to his proclivities. I mean, probably not all of his proclivities, but what I'm saying is he doesn't lead a life of closeted deception, in other words. Whereas Diddy, I don't know if we can say that about him with a lot of the stuff we've learned about Diddy, right? So having all of these secrets and living a double, triple, quadruple life, after a while, you can't sustain it. And that's the thing. So we're looking at the ascension in the early days of Puffy. So yeah. Next slide. All around Clyde, TJ, Joan, etc. Okay, so like I was saying, we're dealing with the crack era. This is really getting ramped up. It started, we already talked about it starting in the 80s pretty much, but now we have Joe Biden. And this amazed me about people that supported Joe Biden. I had a cousin tell me, she said, "Cousin, I love you, but I'm riding with Biden." And I was like, "Okay, cousin, I love you too. If you're riding with Biden, I hope it's a good ride." And I don't know. I haven't heard about her assessment of that ride that we went on with Joe Biden. I have, of course, my theories of how it went. But yeah, Joe Biden in 1991, he was the author of the 1991 crime bill. So if you look at how all of this is crafted to happen together, this is very crafty. We have wars. We have wars in foreign theaters, wars on our streets here in America. We have wars going on the streets. Look at this crack. This turned our neighborhoods inside out. I have family that fell prey to the crack era. I can tell you stories. It affected a lot of families. It tore some families apart. They've never been the same. Thank God in my family, we had redemption. We got to see restoration. And that goes along with the prayers. You have a praying grandmom. You may get caught up out there and go astray, but you always come back to that road, to that path that you learned, the ancient path. So I watched people in real time when I was going to nursing school, Temple University, going into North Philly, parking my car on these really like seedy streets, side streets and everything in North Philly. And I'm walking over crack vials. I'm stepping on crack vials. Are you kidding? And I'm looking at cracked out people walking around looking like zombies. Their skin was gray. The women were just like selling their bodies. You could see the remnants of all of that life. And you can see she was once a beautiful woman. And even the ones that you knew personally. You watch crack just steal their beauty and their youth and their dreams. Some of them being so smart, so intelligent. But this drug, this was a spiritual war. And you have Joe Biden over here who portrays like he is a friend to this community. He is everything but. He is a Dixie cracked, a KKK. Might as well have KKK hood on, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. Kept that party bouncing FF's evil. So you have the crime bill being authored by Joe Biden, who had horrible things to say about Black Americans. He didn't want his children going to a school around jungle kids. Like, you remember he used that term, like the jungle, as if his children were so elite and so much better. We could see how that turned out, right? And that's just how life is. When people are arrogant and they think their children are the best, they have to be careful, because you don't know how things will turn out later. You may have done everything. They go to private schools and all this and that, and they could become the biggest crack dealer, crack hoe, crack piper, whatever, on a whatever pole, everything, bank robber. You don't know. Puffy, you may have a kid turns out like Diddy, and you took him to Sunday school every Sunday. You tried. It's just everybody has their choices. Beth is saying, "Oh my goodness, I've got my microphone on and it captured your voice talking on the TV while I was talking into the phone." Uh-oh, we're having some cross signals. Uh-oh. You know how that, weird stuff can happen with the phones. We've got all this technology going on. My ex was a coworker in South Philly during that time, and the amount of babies and toddlers that got scooped up and saved because everyone was all cracked out. Yes, oh my goodness. And I worked in a city hospital, a few of them. But the crack babies, we called them crack babies. I know that's terrible, but that was a term. And these children, these babies were left behind. I knew, like, a woman, she delivered she had twins. She delivered them in a crack house. She was skinny too. You hardly even knew she was pregnant. She had twins. Can you imagine? And she just dropped these babies on a floor of a crack house. And they called the paramedics. They were able to save one of them, but she didn't even pick them up. She panicked. She freaked out. But they just dropped out of her. Can you imagine? And we were able to save the baby and get the baby to thrive somewhat. But I got to be around a lot of babies that were born to crack addicted moms. It was a really sad time. Unreal. So you have Joe Biden, who, again, he put in place something that was like a bomb that went off, that of course filled up the private prisons. So he is a man who has yet to, it's going to happen, I'll just say. And I know you guys are probably going to tell me some other, yeah, that's Brandon, right? Okay, that's all I'll say. We'll go on. Next slide, because we could get into something with this, right? Can't we? I'm still here, you guys. Okay, so we also have, I thought this is an interesting thing to look at, because we have all of these different subcultures going on. And I found this to be interesting, just to look at the what was being done here. You have, on one hand, out of the northwest part of the country, this movement called grunge. Where's the spoon for sleep? Yeah, I think the spoon is here. I have it right here for Joe Schmo. Here's the spoon. It's always going to be nearby now. Okay, so we have the grunge movement. I would say it's a spirit that started to come through. Hunter's lily white ass turned out to be, right? He went to the best private schools, and look at how Hunter turned out. He had everything. The best of the best. What's the name for Biden when he was getting booed? Yeah, they called him Brandon, right? Let's go, Brandon, right? Joe Biden 1.0. Yeah, we were looking at Joe, the early Joe. All right, so now we have the rise of the grunge music and the aesthetic. The young people, well, I was the young people back then, and I remember, yeah, I might have dipped into a little of this look, mixture of everything. You had the street look, you had the hip hop rising and all of that look, the Mary J. Blige. We were wearing our hair like all these crazy colors and styles. Oh, the pictures I could show right now. Okay, so we were doing a lot. Okay, the streets were doing some things here. You could see it, they were getting angry. You could see a t-shirt on Chuck D. It says enemy, public enemy. You got Flavor Flav with the clock, and he's got the top hat. It looks like Papa Legba. I don't know. It's giving Papa Legba vibes. How about you all? When you look at Flavor Flav right now, does he give you a Papa Legba vibe? But something is up. Tina says Clive is evil. He is surely evil. I think his name, you could turn it around. It even says evil, doesn't it? You could turn Clive evil. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that. Yes, he is. And yeah, so I'm looking at this now, and it's okay. So you have the anger that's being created in the hood. And yeah, they could justify a lot that was going on. We were coming out of the Reagan era. We were coming out of the Bush, Bush, Papa Bush, as they called him, and all. And then we got the wars and all the stuff going on. Yeah, it's a lot of anger going on. Yeah, and it's just being fomented. So I'm sure there's something really deep and esoteric with Flavor Flav wearing the clock all of the time. I don't remember the reason. Let me look up. Why did Flavor Flav, bear with me, everybody, if you're still here. Let me see. Why did Flavor Flav wear that clock? What was up with that? But it seems like there's something pretty deep, in terms of why is he wearing that? What is the message? Let's see. Anybody know why Flavor Flav was wearing that clock? Dharma is saying, I was a kid on the south side of Chicago. I love how that sounds. I was a kid on the south side of Chicago at the time. Then in the late 90s, look at that, Dharma. Look at that street cred you have. I noticed the whole country was acting gangster. Yes, it was a program we were under. We were definitely under such a program. So we have the clock. What was up with the clock? Let's see what Wikipedia tells us. It's always, we have fun with Wiki, don't we? It's always a fun time to see what they say for the narrative. I like to start there sometimes. Oh, they didn't tell. They didn't tell us about early life. Maybe they'll talk about him. He was repairing clocks, maybe. Ooh, he has a pretty checkered past here. Interesting. I'm not going to get too caught up. We'll figure it out. Let's move on. Okay, so we have Nirvana. We have, I thought this was the perfect, just the angst. They kept calling it the angst, right? So you had to have the angst. And then we have the rise of Tupac Shakur, street poet, street philosopher, right? And yeah, so something came up today in the Diddy documentary that 50 is doing. It looks like they're really going to bring up the Tupac aspect of Diddy. This is going to be interesting, very interesting. I'll talk about it more in a bit. Reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit running around with the watch. Oh, yeah, probably has something to do with that. Yeah, Wonderland. That's a whole program they've had us under, the whole Wonderland thing. Yeah. Alice is a name that doesn't strike my spirit really well. I have a personal thing against that name, Alice. Yes. Uh, Oh, you switched accounts. Oh, good, John. I like that. Look at that. I like that avatar. Okay, next. So we have Public Enemy, NWA. We have the anger, and then we have the angst. You know, these extremes right now. You have Nirvana and everything. Kurt Cobain and his depression. What else are we gonna call it? Depression. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Again, this is a retrospective. We're looking at culture to do a root cause analysis. Like every year, this whole generation of our American culture, we're on episode 27, and this is the year 1991. So again, I wanted to show more of this grunge aesthetic, I'll say. And you can see they're standing next to a dumpster. Like, this is real grungy. They want you to really feel dirty, filthy, and holes in the knees of your jeans. I know older people can never understand this. We have fallen so far. And I know a lot of us want to defend this stuff because we engaged in it. I engaged in dressing like holes in the clothes, buying clothes with holes in them. But that is a mindset that we have been cultivated into. And when you look at our generations that have passed that used to have a code of conduct and were more elevated in their thinking and behavior, they were more lawful and went by the principles of God. So it resulted in our fashion being more covered, more our fabrics were luxurious. We would never have plastics on our body, low frequency clothes. We were wearing linen, which has the frequency of healing. The highest frequency, I think, of your clothing could be linen, which Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, he wore linen. He knew about, this is biblical, the fibers of our clothing and what we sleep on even. Cotton has a high frequency, but the highest frequency is linen. So when we think about the stuff that we have degraded in terms of, when I look at Kurt Cobain in that one picture right there, it looks like he's wearing pajamas, maybe just really comfy, but it's a disheveled look. It makes us look like, you know, the young people call it bed rot, where you rot in bed, and just all of these things. It's taken the meaning and the beauty out of life, and it's made it very dystopian and ugly. And they even had our girl, Drew Barrymore. She was rocking the grunge look. She was such a cute girl. And I talked about this before, that my mother loves Drew Barrymore. She watches her show. And, you know, we have a lot of grace towards Drew. She went through so much. Oh, wool. Oh, is wool higher than? Yeah, that's why I'd like you to correct me. So wool is 5,000. Is that, tell us if anybody understands the frequency of fibers. Drop it in there if you know the linen, wool, cotton. Yeah, but now we're wearing these synthetic fibers, and it makes us just act that way. You know, when you dress up, whenever you used to wear your Sunday best, they called it, you act better, you act differently. It has an effect on you in so many ways. You're saying grunge was part of the plan as well. Yes, degradation, and that's what it's done. And I know it's comfortable. I know it feels good to roll out of bed. I used to do it in college, roll out of bed and go to class sometimes, right? Yeah, and you're wearing almost like pajamas. You're wearing your sweats. And this was something that my grandma Stormy, she couldn't understand why, and my other grandma Mimi, both of those women from that generation, they would look at me and just, it was cringe to them that I wanted to dress like this, like Drew Barrymore. I wanted to be in all black all the time. And my grandmoms, they didn't like that. They felt like I shouldn't wear black. If you're not in mourning, why are you in black all the time? You look depressed, they would tell me. And they would ask me, are you okay? So it would annoy me at the time, but now I get it. So this was all part of the plan, as Beth said. And it starts in, you can see how we've been attacked in so many ways, and how it's affected our mental health, our physical health, everything, our cohesiveness and bonding between each other. Wool and linen are both 5,000. If you wear them together, one frequency gets canceled. That's right. I know that they talk about that in the Bible, how to mix the proper fibers, and we used to know this. This was part of our teaching. We knew about fibers and the science behind it. Why why togas were so popular. Togas, yes, the Greeks and their togas, right? Or Romans, who, both of them, right? The Greeks and the Romans, I think they're all the same people. Anyway, so the togas, yes, we had some toga parties in college. Yes, yes, I must say, these days I really love when someone is dressed beautifully. Don't you? I love it myself. And this is a movement that's starting right now with the young people. They're starting to dress. The young men are right now. I'm waiting for the young women to start to catch, but I think it has to start with the men first. But I love it. They call it the quarter zip movement. But I believe this is a spiritual thing going on. And like I say, it's going to be in the young people that will see it. They will lead the way. And it is spiritual. God is working on the hearts and the minds of the young people. So I encourage them with this quarter zip movement to start dressing with the good. Can you imagine starting to see wingtip shoes and nice tweeds and hats? And I love it. Oh, Beth is confirming that linen is a 5,000 hertz. Okay, there you are. And drinking out of copper. There you are. Let me take a sip right now. Let's go to the next slide, please. Wow. You say polyester and man-made materials are at 0 hertz. That's terrible. 0. Okay, so in 1991, we have this movie, this big psychological thriller that it left me shook. And that is Silence of the Lamb. And this was played by this was very well cast. It really got inside the head. Wow, Hollywood really knew how to bring a story forward, right? But this is based on true stuff. So, of course, it's going to be a little more, it's going to feel real. Yeah, so Hopkins, he played the heck out of this role. Look at the eyes. He looks like his vehicle is being driven by somebody else, not him. That's what it looks like, right? He looks like he's in the trunk of the car, and he's got a whole entity driving his car, right? He's locked in the trunk. That's what it looks like when I look at his eyes. Both pictures. Yeah. So this is a turning point in film when you think about this was a deep, deep, deep psychological movie. So let's go to the next slide. Thank you for joining and hanging out. I'm almost done with this 1991 rewind. Let's see, you're saying it puts the polyester. Oh, no. All the memes. Okay. I want us to just look at this. We have this common cultural understanding of this picture. A cute little white poodle looking into a pit. If you didn't know, maybe you dropped in from another planet and you look at this picture, you're like, oh, cute little dog, right? But yes, this is a meme. It has become memeology to see the little pup. So let's go to the next slide. John says it puts the polyester in the basket. Oh no. So we have a true, real person that I don't know if you all know this. This is a little Philadelphia lore that I'm sharing right now. A little John lore. So the character in Silence of the Lamb, Buffalo Bill, and all the creepiness of puts the lotion in the basket and all of the weirdness, he is based on a real person. So we had a man in Philadelphia named Gary Heidnick, and he had a house. They called it the House of Horrors. And this picture in the middle is Gary Heidnick. And the woman on the side there, she was a survivor of his house of horror. He would kidnap women, and they were mostly black and I don't know, maybe Latina, but he was kidnapping these women and taking them to his house and keeping them in his basement. So he basically had a pit like this where he kept them in his cellar. And if you know anything about Philadelphia's cellars, they are pretty creepy. And he was cooking some of the bodies when he unalived them, so cooking them, feeding them to the other women. I mean, this is like a Halloween horror story. And feeding the remnants to the dogs, just sick stuff. So I think I don't know, this woman that survived, she may have been, I heard that there was a young girl who was captured by Gary Heidnick, and she was one of those kids that like from the hood, like knew how to fight. She was fast on her feet and she got away. Oh my goodness. And the story of how she got away, because he was chaining them to things in the cellar, and she made this just miraculous break and freed herself from him. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that, yeah, that was based on a real thing. And just the sickness in our culture is just beyond. We are long overdue for a reset, which is happening as I speak. All right, let's go to the next slide. So, of course, we have to throw in a nice psyop of JFK, right? We have to continue the narrative and look at other aspects of this assassination that happened in the 60s and continues to traumatize the culture. It has become a fixed event that even young people that have nothing to do, like generations away, they can begin to study it. They get interested in this and they feel the trauma. And it's something that is a pivotal aspect of what we are doing in terms of watching the darkness start to be put down. And some people are really actively fighting against it. They are really God's warriors. They have assignments, kingdom assignments, that they are doing work for the kingdom. And I believe JFK, I don't care what anybody says, I've done some work to understand. I mean, just the fact that he was fighting against the CIA. He was fighting against all of these secret societies. He was speaking up against foreign invasion into our land. No one should be a foreign national and serving in our government. That is ridiculous. And JFK was speaking up and fighting against a lot of this stuff. He went against the nation of Israel. And I don't need to say any more. We see how things turned out, right? So this continues to be a sore spot for us, because what was done to us was very traumatizing. Very. They've done nothing but traumatized us as people. And we are all fatigued from the trauma. It has grown very thin, and the jig is truly up. I just want to say that again. Okay, next slide. So yeah, Oliver Stone had another, they were just continuing the conversation, moving it forward. And when I like to look at how are the gals doing? How are the gals doing? The boss chicks, the bad bitches. So in 1991, they released this horrendous movie that I had no interest in, Thelma and Louise. And so this is some girl power. Kind of reminds me of like Oprah and Gail. Didn't Oprah and Gail do like a cross country bit? Girlfriends, friends, best friends, besties. But this movie, from what I heard, I didn't have to watch it. I heard how it turned out. Didn't they like drive the car off a cliff? So it just shows this is such a degraded time for women. And this was popular in the culture, Thelma and Louise. So I didn't want to watch it. It's just like that other one with Monique. I couldn't do that. But yeah, I guess this is like empowerment, This is, as Salty Cracker says, this is it's brave, right? Stunning and brave cinema for women. All right, so we have like another slide after this? Oh, Wyoming chick. Hey, you said yes, a horrible ending. That's what I heard happen. It just ended that way. So we have on a good note, we have our Whitney Houston, beautiful woman, the late Whitney. She did the most iconic version of our national anthem. It was amazing for the Super Bowl that year, and just amazing to hear it even now, but live when she was doing it. What a treasure she was to the music landscape. Tragic life, and also connection to Clive Davis. Yeah, coincidentally, right? Notice all those coincidences. Can't mix linen and wool. It cancels out. Oh, okay, linen and wool. Yep, there you go. Yes, I'm glad you're here, Wyoming chick. How's it going over in Wyoming? All right, so what's the next slide? Okay, so we have a gentleman that he was the one that developed the very first web page. So this was a Linux application, I guess, where he created the web page while he was working at CERN. I thought that was kind of weird. If you look at the computer, you will see the CERN logo in the computer on the screen there. But yeah, he created the first web page, and his name is, I had it here. You know how I write the things and then can't see them, and they're right in front of my face a lot of times. It's like, darn, it was right there. Can somebody look it up for me? Now, I'll look it up real quick. I forgot his name. It's like a 3-part name. Okay, just bear with me. I just want to give it to you, the right name of the man. Okay, web. If you get it before me, that'll be nice too. Web page. Anybody get it? I meant bleeds us dry and controls us. So it's very cold in Wyoming. I can only imagine how cold it is. It doesn't. Oh, I'll try something else. You would think I'd have it. Oh, Tim Berners-Lee. Okay, we're looking at the young Tim Berners-Lee. So he was the computer scientist that developed the very first web page. Okay, and this was all while he was working at CERN. Okay, www.cern.com. Okay, .org maybe. Okay, next slide. CERN. Okay, and this is when we have the battle between you have Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo. So they had their war. If any of you played either game system, tell me which one you thought was the best, Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo. So we can see the birth of the whole gaming culture as it is starting to develop. We've been covering it through these episodes, and now we are at the competition between two powerful brands, pioneering brands. All right, next slide. So I want to end on the Diddy thing. And like I said, I watched the first part of the documentary aired on Netflix by Curtis Jackson, known as 50 Cents. And this was powerful. It's being done very, this is truly like he's gotten footage that it's pretty interesting, a study of a life. And the way I see it, for anybody who's not even interested in this, I know it has a lot of really gory, graphic details to what Puffy was into. As I see it, because I grew up in this time period in which Puffy and I are contemporaries. So I watched his development, his arc. And I thought he was fun back in the 90s. I thought his music was fun and I danced to it. I thought he was just had a lot of riz, as they say, a lot of riz that's charisma. You could just feel this charisma, although now we see it's a dark charisma. But nonetheless, he has something that he knows how to work a room, as they say. And it was pretty apparent to me. And I knew he had gone to Howard. I'd heard that. I went to Spelman. So when you go to the HBCUs, you tend to, okay, you went to Howard and you heard about Puffy parties and Puffy this or whatever. And we had people in Atlanta that threw parties like him. He was a promoter. And I knew people that had that kind of equivalency in Atlanta. And so you knew they were the popular people, the connectors, if you want to bring up, what is his name, from the tipping point. Puffy would be a maven, I think. He would probably be a lot of things, a connector. And yeah, psychopath ultimately, because the way that this man's character just darkened as he ascended into the world. It is quite a study, as they say. And I look at this Puffy ordeal, this drama, it is like a Greek tragedy and a Greek comedy also. And what's interesting is that is what the Black Boule, which Puffy is a part of the Black Boule, I believe. Anybody who's successful in this particular industry, they have to be a part of it to, get in the doors, because Puffy and Jay-Z, they were gatekeeping very tightly, as well as others. But we hear their names a lot right now. In terms of this Greek culture, these men are part of Greek organizations and secret societies, and this is an oath. and we think about the book of Enoch when the watchers made oaths to never, of secrecy and things like that. And I think of, well, LeBron James, who was connected to Diddy. He was the one that said, ain't no party like a Diddy party. LeBron James, we're watching the fall of these, they're like Greek gods in a way. These are men of renown, and we're watching them fall right now. And it is, it's sobering to watch. I know a lot of people celebrate these things. I watch it from, like, it is sobering to me to witness the descent as I watched his ascent. But I think a lot of the character of Lucifer, the bearer of light, and a beautiful angel. I'm not saying Puffy is a beautiful angel, but what I'm saying is Lucifer able to shapeshift and be whatever is needed for whatever, opportunity. Very opportunistic. And just this whole Luciferian brotherhood and sisterhood, that they're so bold now. They're so out unmasked with it now because their time is short. And Puffy, being many iterations, he's changed his name to go along with whatever spirit and entity maybe that he's hosting. He has a big tattoo of a Haitian on his back. He's involved in a lot of darkness. And to watch his arc is like I said, a Greek comedy and tragedy. I've not seen anything in our culture since I've been alive that has really displayed the nature of a Greek tragedy and drama as much as this is, as it unfolds. It's like a Black Greek drama. I don't know another group of people that can take their descent and make it this entertaining. Can you? I've never seen anything like it. Diddy is on, he's in prison, and he is of interest to people all over the world. I mean, he's still manipulating media behind prison. He's still wielding power from prison. And he is a person that just the ego and just, he gained the whole world. That was his dream. In fact, let me just say what it was that I thought was interesting. I took another note that I wanted to talk about with this, because I'm just saying, okay, so I wrote a modern Greek tragedy. He was on top of the world. Diddy got a key to Gotham City. I'm talking the top of the top. Someone said in the documentary that he was a paper gangster, but he wanted to be a street gangster also. But he was raised in like private Catholic schools, although his mother was into the street life in terms of she threw parties, she knew celebrities, she did like night work, she said, like out of her own mouth. He was exposed to a lot, and his childhood friend basically said that his house was like a house of ill repute, like no morals. And we've all known homes like that, houses rather, they're not homes. I grew up in a home. I grew up in a really strict home, but I had friends that they could do anything. They had a lot of freedom and liberty, and they took a lot of that freedom and liberty and destroyed themselves with it, And So somebody said, in terms of Clive Davis, that he would say, you thrive according to Clive. And that just let me know that Clive is really a gatekeeper. You can't you can't thrive unless it's according to Clive. And it's like the final boss. Diddy is like the final boss of an apprentice to me. I looked at like this first segment and he's like an apprentice. And you watch how the apprentice or the protege, the intern, he became so infatuated with his the master, the person at his mentor, the man who brought him into the industry. And they were like father figures, even the gangsters in the street. And he would read about his father. He wanted to understand the lore, the myth of his father. And he did research, and I could just relate to some of that because I have the same issue with my father. Like, I'm looking at newspapers about my dad, and it's like, when you have a dad that's kind of like, you kind of like relate on little things. Of course, my dad wasn't like Puffy's dad, but hey, they all do their own things, right? But Puffy, or Diddy, he was the type of apprentice that he became jealous of his, mentor eventually. And it's like he wants to become the top boss. So he'll take what he can learn and then he's going to take out, maybe not literally, I'm saying according to some alleged stories, take out people, take them off the stage, competition, whatever. And very envious, very jealous, envious, things in his character. And the partying. And when he started to develop into this really dark person, and started to just go deeper into the world and become a cult of personality and very corrupted by power and gaining the whole world. This is the perfect, you couldn't get a more perfect story. It has every element here. And he was a lot like Dionysus, the Greek icon, Dionysus, the entity. And I believe that, like I said, I believe he is hosting a lot of spirits. And, he had a lot to do with fashion. He had his hands in lots of things. And I look at this picture, the Sean John type of aesthetic, and it looks like that quarter zip movement that we're looking at now, the gentlemen of the Harlem Renaissance. Well, that's what's going to happen. We're going to witness a renaissance in our culture. And people like Puffy, we're watching the descent. We watched his ascent. We're watching the descent. And he is not outside of the Most High Yah's redemption and restoration. He has time to repent. And the Most High Yah has so much grace and mercy and love for Sean Combs. We may not feel it, but God does. And he understands how he became this monster and whatever deals he has made with the dark kingdom. But none of these oaths and none of these things are permanent, I believe. I believe that anybody can be reached. I don't know who's praying for him. But it would be amazing. We always wish that we could watch somebody as monstrous as Diddy to show us in real time what redemption and repentance really looks like. I would love to see that for him. I would be overwhelmed to watch an example like this. But I just wanted to end on that note that it is an amazing example. It's entertaining. It has lots of like elements, the various people, the beautiful women that he has been able to have and destroy. Just it's definitely a very spiritual story. And again, it would be amazing to witness this man come to the light, the real light, not the false light that he has been involved in with Lucifer and all of their sick practices. So, yeah, that'd be great. To the Most High Yah, I submit Mr. Sean Combs to you. I pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, that he would come to you and he would be redeemed and restored in our lifetime, that we would witness it, right? Amazing stuff. It's all possible, everyone. And we have a lot to look forward to with the kingdom coming in power. I believe we are going to see amazing days. We are not going to see doom and gloom to the children of the Most High Yah, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, correct me. But I want to leave on this note. I love you all. I will keep in touch, keep you posted. Maybe we will patch it through again to YouTube. If you like this format, this is my retrospective, okay? So if you like it, check it out again, okay? And I'll keep you posted. Take care, and thanks for joining, everybody. Love you all. Yes, sweet dreams. Thanks for sticking in there for me. I know it was a long one, another long live stream, right? We do this all the time. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.